Hey guys, so live from Norfolk in the United Kingdom, we are privileged to have Siam Kidd to join us today. A fellow Brit, Siam, aka the realistic trader, was so annoyed and angry with people being duped into parting company with their hard-earned cash on so-called get-rich-quick schemes, he set up the brand, the realistic trader, to offer people the truth. So Siam, welcome to the interview. Great that you could make it today.
Hi Rob, yeah, thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome.
Great to be here.
Yeah, always a privilege having people like your good self. Love your brand. Obviously born out of your kind of resentment for people being ripped off. But what would you say is the biggest misconception in trading today?
I think there's a couple of things. Mainly, one, obviously trading does attract those that want to replace their income stream, and one's expectations are normally way out of whack, and people try to replace their income stream in the first year or first couple of months, and it doesn't help that there's a lot of people saying, hey, earn $10,000 a day or whatever. So I guess that's the first one. People come in with the wrong mindset. And the second one is that people, I call it sex. Basically, people are too obsessed with sex in trading, i.e. they're obsessed with the setup, the entry, and the exit. And they think that, coming up with a system or buying a black box strategy or whatever, where it gets them in the market at the perfect time and place, is how you become a good trader. But as you can probably agree yourself, like, the entry is literally one of the most irrelevant parts of trading. Well, in my opinion, or in quite a few other sort of people's opinion as well. So I think that's probably where people go wrong to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair enough. I speak from my own experience. I mean, in the earlier days, just a small tweak like scaling out really did dramatically improve results. And it was just merely a small tweak. And as you say, a lot of people place too much importance on the entry. They just can't wait to get into the trade, and they don't know what to do afterwards, basically. Do you find that with many people who you teach?
Yeah, so true. Like, in fact, we actually turn away a hell of a lot of people. It's probably a good 5 people a day that we get via email, etc. And that we always sort of ask, why do you want to trade, blah blah blah. And the thing is, like, most people start up with an account of between £1,000 to £5,000, or sometimes 10 or 10k, etc. And their expectations are they want £2,000 a month, like, from the get-go. And trading, no matter, being really realistic, like, your first year in trading is your incubation phase, really, because it's such a steep learning curve. There's so much you need to learn, and especially if you're a type of person that isn't really suited for trading, like for myself included. Like, I am technically, or physiologically, I can never say that word, the worst person to be a trader, because I have a little bit of a gambling streak. So not only do I have to combat, you have to learn trading as a whole, I have to constantly battle myself, that little bastard on my shoulder that's telling me to go all in.
That's interesting.
So really, your first year is just, getting to know the market, and then you really cannot expect to be, busting out 10, 20% years, straight away. So, and even, let's say, like, wave a magic wand and you accelerate the first year or 2 or 3, of learning, and you're at the point where you can consistently make, say, 10% per year. Well, 10% per year is going to do bugger all if you have a 10 grand account. I did the maths age ago, but let's say you started with a 10 grand account and made 10% per year every year. I think it compounds up to about 126k, or thereabouts. And the thing is, that's not life changing. Like, that's still not enough. I mean, you could probably semi-retire after that, but yeah, it's still not enough. So really, I see trading as a compounding interest machine, whereby the more money you put into it, the more money it chucks out. And so that leads us to what I guess the end question is, how the hell do I get 7 figures into my account? And that starts off a whole another ballpark. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Indeed. Well, I think that's very much that trading well, for me at least, it's the golden nest egg. So I'm always very happy just to kind of take money out every so often as a reward, but just keep it in there and keep it accumulating, really. And it's just something that I happen to do in amongst other things. I mean, I don't, like I said to you earlier before the interview, you never really hear me talking about trading out and about amongst my friends or peers or family members. A lot of them don't want to know or don't even know what it is, and I'm completely at peace with that. It's actually quite nice hanging out with someone. I was speaking to someone the other day, actually, who they asked me the inevitable question, what do you do? And I said, I'm a Forex trader. And she replied saying, 4 eggs. And I said, you know what? Yes.
Yes.
Golden eggs.
On the market.
But it's interesting you say you've got a gambling streak, and that is very good that you recognise your potential kind of like shortcomings. And I'm the same. I mean, I realised when I was new to the markets, I was actually pretty arrogant, getting first-class degree honours at university, and the market was a very humbling experience.
Yeah,
but
the market will beat you up if you disrespect it.
Oh, absolutely, and some more. But what is interesting, looking at your background, Siam, is you used to work in the armed forces, and I've worked with people who've been like ex-soldiers, been in the Navy or officers, and they've actually had some pretty good transferable skills in terms of discipline and being quite methodical and mechanical in their approach. Is that something you've experienced as well?
Yeah, to a degree, yes. I mean, one of the things in fact, let's rewind a bit. I in the early days of getting it in business, not trading it in business, I consistently had a really hard time with staff. Like I'd say, hey, this needs doing, or there's an error here. Can you please sort it out? Blah blah blah. And time and time again, like I was always let down by my staff. I mean, in hindsight, it's because I didn't have the correct onboarding, training, and support systems and whatnot. But the thing is, in the military, like at one point, I had about 20 odd people under me because I was an officer and pilot and whatnot. And you ask, you say to whoever you're working with, hey, this needs doing, or here's an error, please sort it out, and it gets done. And the reason being is that like in the military, like everyone is extremely well trained, regardless of rank or what they do. Everyone is really well trained, and one of the things that the military is really good is problem solving. So there's a problem, cool, okay, what? And then I think everyone is naturally ingrained with the questions of, okay, what needs to happen to sort that out, or what do I need to do blah blah blah. So in that respect, the military has helped in business and in trading somewhat, because I go, right, here's a problem, what can I do to get rid of it? Or, I mean, when you go back to the key basic questions that you should ask yourself in order to improve your trading, which is basically, how do I make more money for my winners? How do I lose less on my losers? Hell, they're the two main questions, really. And so when you're analysing your stats at the end of every year and going, right, how can I reduce my losers or lose less, etc., you can sort of try and problem solve that and put the realistic mini steps in place to sort of figure it out. If that makes any sense. I tend to go off on one. Sorry.
No problem. It makes perfect sense. And I think the onus is for a lot of people who certainly come our way, and probably people who come your ways, is to obviously analyse the trades which haven't performed, or the ones that are winning, and seeing what they could do better. But is it fair to say that from your experience as a mentor, I mean, if many of the market newcomers knew the reality of trading before they started, is it fair to say that they probably wouldn't bother with trading in the first place?
Yeah, completely. Like with business and trading, like when you're first learning, like you really, first of all, you don't know what you don't know. It's a bit like you're an unconscious incompetent, and it is painful, especially if you're teaching yourself and you're learning all of the bad habits out there, etc. You will get chewed up and spat out. I lost consistently for the first 4 to 6 years of trading. I was literally the worst trader on the planet, and it's so hard. So unless you have like a real doggedness or determination to like make something work, then trading will surprise a lot of people, which is why I think, I mean, I don't know where that stat is. I don't know if there isn't even a stat that's been calculated, but I'm pretty sure there's a high percentage of people that get into trading that give up within the first year and then give up again within the first 5 years, just because it is really hard. Trading is really, really simple in terms of, how to do it, but it's really, really easy to screw it up in a big way.
Yeah, great quote, very great quote, actually. It's one that my mentor also uses, Larry Pasavento, who you might have heard of. But so you had quite and this is an interesting theme, actually, which I get from a lot of people who I've interviewed and met who've been in the business for a long time, and they have one thing in common, and that's that they've started off trading, myself included, actually, and I also was possibly the worst or the worst equal at the beginning of my trading career. And the one thing that unites these people is that they stuck at it, and they weren't the kind of 90% of people who wiped out 90% of their trading accounts in 90 days and gave up. They continued. But you did it for 6 years before you kind of got it. So what kept you going in that time?
Yeah.
It must have been soul destroying. I know that feeling.
The thing is, I'm a distinctly average bloke with distinctly average qualities. And so I've never really been talented at anything other than, I don't know, martial arts when I was a kid. And so because I'm pretty shit at everything, I have to work way harder than most people. And the thing is, because of that, I always ask myself, what needs to happen to get better, or what do I need to do to get better, blah, blah, blah. And I guess if other people are doing it and making money on the markets, well, that means it can be done. So I just need to keep on doing it until I figure it out. Like with business, I remember one guy, I was thinking of leaving the Air Force and getting into business, and I think one of my flight commanders was like, "You're an idiot, Siam. You spent your whole life trying to be a pilot, and now you want to jack it all in for something extremely risky." And then I think he went online and found a quote or a stat that 9 out of 10 businesses fail in year one, which is pretty accurate, actually. And so I was like, well, screw it. I'm going to set up 10 businesses then. And then one of them is bound to hit the moon. So, and then I failed the first 3, maybe 4 businesses. So
dogged tenacity.
But you just got to keep going.
Well, it's a pretty phenomenal journey you've had, and it just goes to show that it is possible if you're willing to work hard enough, to people who are listening and struggling at the moment. I mean, like Siam, I had a pretty rocky start to trading. In fact, made every single mistake in the book 10, 20 times over.
Yeah, and the trick is to try and mitigate the amount of repeated mistakes. So it's all very well, seeing people on YouTube and Gary Vee going, yeah, just do it, just go for it, whatever. But if you're consistently doing something and you're not getting the desired outcome, well, you need to pivot. You need to analyze and go like, okay, evidently this is not working. Why the hell is this not working? Let's try something different, even if it's against your instincts or whatever. And then life is, and trading, I guess, is just simply a series of tests. You do, like in the Air Force, we have a thing called do, review, apply. So you do something, you review it, and then you apply, either as in apply any adjustments, or you just keep on doing it. Do, review, apply. And that's it, really.
Well, that's trading is a great allegory for many situations in life, actually. And you applied it to the Air Force. And funnily enough, actually, I'm speaking to a pickup artist next week about who started his trading career with us. And we're discussing what picking up ladies, if you forgive the expression, can teach you about financial markets trading. And it's going to be a very interesting interview.
What's his name?
His name is Ryan Black. He trains under Sasha, POA Systems.
Oh, I know Sasha.
Yeah, interesting guy. Small
awesome.
world.
Yeah.
So,
wait, it's like Ryan Black and Sasha. They're two different people, though.
They are indeed, yes, very much so. One's Canadian, one's British.
Yeah.
Very distinctly different personalities to boot.
Yeah.
So, throughout your 6 years, you've had quite a journey, but can you name any specific mentor, book, or author that had like a defining influence on your development? Or were you 100% self-taught? You kind of like learned from your mistakes 100%?
Yeah, the first 4 to 6 years, obviously, I was getting nowhere, and I was 100% self-taught. But obviously, wasn't doing much. And then I started to read a couple of books, and that, I guess, really did help and I came across Dr. Van Tharp, Trade Your Way to Financial Freedom. I don't know if you read it. It's one hell of a book. In fact, it's probably the best trading book out there. So I would definitely read that. And that really helped me get my head around risk management because, as you know, risk management is everything. It's at least 90% of trading, that and psychology. So, yeah, that was good. Nassim Taleb's Black Swan is a good one. Trend Commandments by Stephen Covell or Covey. Covell, I think, or Michael Covell, I think. Yeah, they're the good ones, really.
Okay, so, fantastic. Yeah. Well, Mr. Van Tharp, or Dr. Van Tharp, I'm no stranger to him. He's done some excellent work over the years.
He is the man.
Yeah, so tell me about, you've developed it over 6 years. So what is your trading style? Is it end of day? Is it intraday?
Yeah, basically it's technical trend trading and swing trading to a degree. So I spend less than 5 minutes a day trading. I basically have my radar screens, which basically give me my biases, and I can simply scan my eyes across and see if there are any potential setups. And if I see any potentials, I then obviously get the main chart out and then have a proper look-see. So yeah, I guess there's a mix of support and resistance. I like getting in on bouncers. The bouncers themselves they tend to have 40 to 50% hit rate. However, the R multiples are huge normally. I normally get 5R plus with them. Because basically, if a market is rolling towards a pretty big support or resistance level, I simply I fade it at that level with a relatively tight stop. So I may end up having like a 30 odd pip stop, but then bagging 300 pips or something. So that's the sort of support and resistance side. I like riding with the smart money as well, with the support and resistance. So as you know, the market now and again gets stop hunted. So the institutions out there, they know where every retail man and his dog have put their stop losses and entry orders. And if you look at the charts, you'll see that before any big move, there's always a spike or a fake out of some sort to basically stop hunt. And so I tend to anticipate that. So normally, wherever I see like a confluence of potential stop losses, I'll actually put an entry order in that range there, hoping that there is a stop hunt. So I then get wicked in normally by a couple of pips, and then it buggers off in the correct direction. So again, you get really high R multiples from that. And then I have a few other. I have two main sort of strategies, and they're basically trend trading strategies. So get in. I don't care what's going on in the world. I'll just get in wherever the trend is. So yeah,
they're the nice cozy trades, huh?
Yeah, it's like I've actually scared myself out of some shitloads of profit over the last few years because I've been really bearish about the whole world, basically, in terms of the whole financial world. And because of my fundamental bias, I've seen like really good longs on, like, say, the FTSE or the Dow, etc., and then gone, nope, not taking it because I'm expecting some sort of black swan crash or like a Black Monday crash like in 2015, etc. And I've missed out on like one huge rally, basically. And so the thing is with trend trading, the reason why it's worked consistently over the last 300 years compared to any other form of trading is because like it aligns, trend trading aligns with the truths of the market. So if you were to get a piece of pen and paper out and like try and write down facts and truths about the market. In fact, let's do it. So just off the top of my head, here's the truth. The market will either range or trend. Yes or no? A market will never stay at a fixed price for an extended period of time, will it?
It's going to do something, guaranteed.
Guaranteed, yeah. It'll either range for a bit and then trend for a bit. The markets are constantly moving. Okay, so that's one truth we know. What other truths are there? We 100% cannot predict the future. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What we can do maybe is extrapolate what may happen using, low risk, high probability outcomes, using, maybe chart patterns and whatnot, but we absolutely cannot predict the future.
Well, on that note, I mean, you talk about missing out on quite a bit of upside with the FTSE. Where it currently is at the moment, would you be looking for a false breakout from an all-time high? Would you be looking to sell anytime now? Because it is at a very defining point as we speak.
Yeah, and the whole market, I mean, since the Trump bump, it's just absolutely ridiculous. The property market, the equity market is very toppy. And, I mean, if you look at hedge fund outflows, they're like the smart money is literally bugging out of equities. So yeah, the fundamental side is still screaming, bearish stuff. But I've learned from my mistakes. I simply just go wherever the trend is now. So I ignore that funny mental monkey on my shoulder now. And like, if there is a trend, I'll trade it. And yeah, so going back to those truths, basically, like, you can only make real money if you're in a trend. Yes, you can, go from long to short in a range, etc. But there really isn't that many pips or that you can make. So yeah, if a market starts trending in the other direction, I'll get in on it. But obviously, top picking and bottom picking is not a good thing to do. So like, I'll probably only get 60% of a trend, but hell, if you jump onto something like the euro when it's from 140 down to 1, that's like 4,000 pips there. 60% of that is nice. So
yeah, that would be very tasty. But yeah, we live in very interesting times, and I've got my sell orders placed for the FTSE. But you know what? I was proved wrong last year with the FTSE and selling it. But you accurately predicted in 2015 the flash crash, I believe it was, and
yes,
like a week and a half out. So you're obviously, your antennae for kind of reversals isn't completely shot. It seems to be pretty good.
But yeah, I guess, I mean, it helps like having some fishing nets out there. So obviously, if you think something's going to drop, and you can simply just catch it with a whole bunch of entry sell orders. And but the market was acting really fishy back then, and it was an interesting day because not one of the reasons why I thought the shit's about to hit the fan is because on the Friday, I think off the top of my head, the S&P 500 or maybe the Dow closed below a huge support level. And human psychology, whenever you see a major market closing pretty aggressively below a massive support level, the weak hands out there will probably get on their brokers, go, oh shit, the market's going to crash, pull out the moment you can. And obviously you have all weekend where people go, oh my God, it's closed below that. And no doubt in the papers you'll see, oh, the FTSE or the S&P has dropped 2% in one day or whatever. And so what happens is when the market opens, you have all of these sell orders that, hit the market, so to speak. And then like I was watching like early on the Monday opening, like I think it gapped down a bit off the top of my head. I can't quite remember it. It's all blurry these days. And then I was like, holy shit. And I texted everyone. I cancelled my meetings that day and I texted all my followers. I was like, yeah, today's going to be interesting. And here's why, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and it was a crazy day that day. So
I bet. It's supposed to show the counterintuitive nature of the market sometimes. And I mean, you probably still find this. I mean, we certainly do. It's like sometimes the most obvious setups, which every man, woman and their dog's going to trade because it fulfills all your rules for entry, but it bites the dust anyway. But you have to take it because it's part of your strategy. It's
correct. You got to keep on churning out that system.
Yeah.
If you have a positively skewed system. So yeah.
With military-like precision, dare I say.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point because a lot of people, they may have a system. Hell, they may have a very good system, but it's their discipline, their discipline accuracy, which really lets them down. Because let's say you place, 100 trades a year, and you're only disciplined 90% of the time. Well, that means you've placed 10 trades, which you fired from the hip. and I'm pretty much guaranteed that it's those 10 trades that have done the worst damage to your portfolio or to your equity curve. So you really need to aim for 100% accuracy, because that's the only way. Like, if you have a positively skewed system, obviously maths is on your side, so you are the casino. Well, the only way you can make that work for you is if you stick to the freaking rules.
Yeah.
So,
agreed. And that's a great test of anyone, how willing they are. You know, it's very easy in practice to follow any strategy, and you get a lot of nodding dogs in the audience. But
yeah.
but when left to their own devices, there's always not always, but quite often there are excuses as well, which one cannot help. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink after all.
Exactly, and like, you can't stop them from looking at forums or Facebook posts, and someone may go, "Oh my God, the market's going to do this," or whatever, and then human variance comes in and screws over your systems. So
it's true. I find the best time to trade is on the weekends, looking at the weekly charts with the door locked, the curtains drawn, and every kind of form of WhatsApp, Skype, everything just turned off. All the noise just evaporates, and it's great. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
So, Siam, it's been great having you today, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us.
No worries. No, thanks for having me. I hope I've helped in some way or another.
No doubt about it. You really have, and certainly you'll be getting a lot of people as a result coming your way. So, for those people who want to find out what Siam offers, where can listeners find you, Siam?
I guess I put a lot of free videos out on YouTube. So I'm at Siam Kidd on YouTube. So there's loads of free stuff there. And also I've got there's a free video course. It's like 3 or 4 hours long, and I've cram-packed it with content. There's no padding or anything. I'm not fond of padding. And that's at therealistictrader.com/how the world really works.